I hate conflict, especially at work. Like a lot of us, I usually try to avoid it.
I can't. What?
But no manager or interviewer is ever going to ask you about your conflict avoidance skills. They want to know and see how you resolve conflict. Fortunately, you can level up your conflict management skills. This video introduces 3 steps for improving conflict resolution at work. First, a caveat. This video focuses on conflicts that get in the way of you enjoying a positive work environment and of your ability to succeed in your job. But if you're experiencing harassment, discrimination, or retaliation, you should report those behaviors to your company's HR department. Safety is always first priority. When dealing with conflict at work, the first step is to acknowledge that the conflict exists.
Oh wow, I'm angry!
When you pretend it doesn't exist, conflict festers. So take a step back and privately acknowledge that you're experiencing an issue. Then try to find its cause. Maybe you were assigned a project with your coworker, you're frustrated because you feel like you're carrying more of the weight. Okay, yep, that's pretty well defined. Workplace conflict typically stems from communication differences, unclear expectations, or unreasonable time constraints. These are issues that you can do something about. For starters, if you want to resolve conflict, you've got to try to see it from all sides. This is the point where I make a list of everything that's bothering me. Then I circle what's really bothering me most. Then I write down what I want to see happen next. I've acknowledged it, I've identified its cause, I've considered both sides, I've listed out its impact, and I've described the changes I want to see. Now, I have to actually talk to the other person. I know it's hard to talk through conflict with the other person involved, but you can do it. Here's my advice. First, choose a neutral place to meet, somewhere private, not the lunchroom, behind a door, or in a one-to-one virtual meeting. Next, use I statements when explaining your perspective. So instead of, "You aren't carrying your weight on this project," let's try that again. "I feel like I'm carrying more of the weight on this project." I statements help keep the conversation neutral, and I statements don't sound accusatory. This is a dialogue, so your coworker is going to share their perspective too. Your job is to really listen. And where you can, try and summarize what you've heard. It shows that you're paying attention and can highlight points where there's a misunderstanding. So what you're saying is that you have 2 deadlines coming up on other projects, which is why you've been less present on our project. Am I understanding that correctly? Great, but try looking a little less angry. This conversation shouldn't be contentious. Remain professional and unbiased. Practice active listening, and can I tell you something? It's okay to take a break when emotions are running high. Call a timeout and suggest that you continue the discussion a little later. If you follow these steps, the root cause of the conflict should start to become apparent. I invited my colleague. I got a private meeting space. I used I statements. I actively listened. I asked clarifying questions. I think I know why the conflict happened. So now what? Now it's time for resolution. If this entire experience up until this point has felt awkward and icky, don't give up. After what you've been through, this next step shouldn't be too tough. Agree on a desired outcome for the conflict. You should say what you'd like to see happen, and they should too. Then zoom in on the common ground and make a plan together. I'll handle more of the front end on this project. Great, and when my other 2 projects wrap, I will jump in, promise. There's another step that can do wonders for resolving conflict. If you can, find forgiveness and extend grace to one another. Look, we are all better than our worst day at work. I'm sorry about my other assignments and that you felt I was neglecting our project. I kind of was. I'm glad we talked this out, and I feel good about our plan moving forward. If the conflict doesn't improve, you may raise the issue with your manager or even HR. If so, be sure to document the steps you've taken to resolve the conflict on your own. But if all goes well, that won't be necessary. Sometimes a sincere apology is all that's needed. When you address conflict directly, you build goodwill. Now, you can hopefully work together to find a resolution. Conflict at work doesn't have to be icky. We can all like and subscribe.
Calm down. That's like saying, why don't you just go be a fish and live in the ocean and breathe water? Okay? Am I gonna do that? No! No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. Because I'm pretty mad.
Did you say I'm a sea bass?
Because I'm a sea bass and we breathe air. I'm a sea bass.